Welcome back to Puzzles by Liza, and today we're diving into two exciting puzzle competitions, the Canadian Nationals and the UK Nationals of 2025. We'll go through the qualifiers and the finals, individual, pairs, and teams, and we're going to highlight the puzzles, the design, the artist, the completion times, and my personal take on each one of the puzzles. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below, especially if you competed or if you tried this puzzle and you want to share your own time or how you feel about the puzzle. Let's jump right in and start with the Canadian Nationals. Let's start with the first individual qualifier of the Canadian Nationals. This puzzle, it's very peaceful and it's colorful and just the right amount of complexity. So it's called Moraine Lake. It's by Adobe Stock from 2025, of course. And this puzzle is stunning. I really like the lake and I really like the boats, which make it immediately approachable, especially for individual. I really like the color separation. So basically you can begin here with the canoes and then you can do the water, which is pretty nice and turquoise. You have just a tiny bit of sky, very good to do that. And then you have a tiny bit complexity here with the different mountains. You can easily separate those trees from the trees over here. They're very different color. I've done this puzzle. I really enjoyed it. It's really ideal for qualifier. It's challenging, but it's not overwhelming. The fastest time to complete that in the competition was 43 minutes and 35 seconds. Now let's move over to the second qualifier puzzle. It shares a similar landscape theme, but it brings a little bit more challenge. This puzzle is called Joffer Lake Spark. It's again by Adobe Stock, and this one is really beautiful visual. It's kind of similar theme to the previous puzzle that we've seen. Similar layout a little bit as well. It is slightly harder because you can see the top and the bottom are kind of mirror of each other because it's a reflection. I, of course, started with the bright colors, so I did those first, and I didn't even know exactly which one is going to be which. I'm also not looking at the box. There is a nice amount of turquoise here. There is the green strip here in the middle, which is very, very helpful in doing the puzzle actually while you're doing it. And you see that this turquoise is also turning more into green at the bottom. I really enjoyed this puzzle. It was really nice with the patterns from my perspective. The fastest time to complete this puzzle was 43 minutes and 5 seconds. But again, even though the competition organizers, they're trying to make the puzzles in qualifiers to be the same themes and kind of the same difficulty, it doesn't really matter. Because the most important thing is that the fastest people go up to the next stage, and then they're just going to compete against each other on the exact same puzzle. So that's really, even if you put very different puzzles, it really doesn't matter. I know it doesn't feel like fun when that happens, but it doesn't matter in the end. Really, the fastest people, they are qualifying and they're going to be competing later against each other. Now let's take it up a notch and look at the individual final puzzle of Canada, which is more of a painting touch and of course with a Canadian artist. This puzzle is called A Walk in the Rain. It is by Katarina Mertikas from 2025, of course. And this has really a lovely touch. As I said, a Canadian artist at the final. And the image looks like a painting. It's more of like an oil painting, so it's slightly more difficult. But you can easily do, starting with the yellow house, which is my favorite color in general, the turquoise here. This umbrella here is much easier to find. The green, there's a light green that you can separate. The white flowers, they're in two places, but still separable. I personally really like this puzzle. The art is a challenge because it blends in, but it's really, really cute. And the fastest time to complete this one was 56 minutes and 17 seconds. And of course, that's much more time than 43 minutes that it took to complete the other two puzzles. And again, it's very reasonable because this is an oil painting. It's going to be harder to complete. Let's move now from individuals to pairs and look at how a pair work really comes into play. So this first puzzle is called Ocean Treasures by Sheena Pike. She is also Canadian. We're going to talk about her in a moment. This one is surprisingly quite a simple puzzle. I would think they would put a more difficult puzzles for pairs. There is here sea turtle, there's an orca, vibrant colors, very beautiful corals. Pretty easy to separate the areas. I started with purple and with the yellow, and of course yellow here. Definitely fun stuff to do all the pinks. Amazing puzzle actually to do, especially if you're doing it leisurely. The fastest time to complete this one was 28 minutes and 14 seconds, which really is showing how much more easy this puzzle is, because when you pick a challenging puzzle, it takes more time a little bit to do it in pairs. Now let's contrast that with the next pair qualifier puzzle. It was a more complex layout and there are more kind of like colors that are slightly more work and a little bit harder than the other one. This puzzle is called Himalayan Harmony. It's also by Sheena Pike. So as you see, they tried to get the two pair qualifier to be similar complexity because it's the same artist, but of course it's not the same complexity because as you can see, this puzzle fastest time completion was 39 minutes and 31 seconds, which really tells you that it is more difficult. And I mean, every experienced puzzler probably could tell you that it's more difficult. Again, it doesn't matter because the only thing that's important is they will compete against each other when they're going to get to the pairs final. But of course, that just means that you could know that this is going to be more noticeably harder. Definitely love the illustration. I love the animals. I love the way that everything is situated. I like the colors, but yeah, definitely a more difficult one. So next we have the big one, the pairs final, and this time it's 1,000 pieces. And this puzzle here is called Toronto. It is by Miguel Freitas, who is also Canadian. And I haven't done this one yet, but it is very high on my list. The artwork here is quite stunning. I love the colors. I love the urban setup here. Lots of buildings, lots of great shapes to work with. The sky has some clouds. Yellow buildings is where I'm probably going to start. Red buildings is probably where I'm going to continue. And that seems to be actually like quite a cute puzzle to do. A good chunk of different colors that you can separate. 1,000 piece final is not always happening in some of the competitions. It's 500, in some it's 1,000. So it's really depending. This is quite a fitting challenge, and the fastest time to complete is 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 38 seconds. Let's shift gears again, this time for team qualifiers, where the group dynamics is making a huge difference in how you can win this thing. So this puzzle is called Halifax Harbor, and actually I've done that one. The artist is Alice Hinter, produced by Looking Good. And this is a fun, bright, well-organized puzzle. Each section has strong color differences. You have the red buildings, and you have, of course, the yellow buildings and the green buildings. There's some yellow in them, and you know I always start with the yellow. There is a good section of the sky, a very nice section of the water. Again, very separable, very quick. This is the dream puzzle for anyone that is in a competition, basically. Really the way I would probably say, hey, if you want to make an easy competition puzzle, that's not a bad thing here. A lot of different colors, not a lot of contradiction basically between them. Just for proof, this puzzle actually took the fastest team 45 minutes and 18 seconds, which is definitely a very, very quick thing, even for pretty good teams. Definitely an easy puzzle. And we're going to see the difference in just the next puzzle in just 1 second. Now let's check out the next team qualifier. Definitely a step up in complexity here. This one is called Indigo Forest. It's by Radina Till. Again, a Canadian artist. They featured only Canadian artists in those. And this puzzle is notably harder. There's a lot of purple, there's a lot more blue, and the image in general is actually darker. So the separation is going to be slightly harder here. And basically, it's more abstract compared to Halifax Harbor that has more simple illustration. It is not exactly the dream scenario for a team qualifier. It's really going to be a question of just a bit more time than the other one. Again, it doesn't really matter because the fastest teams are going to run against each other in the final, which we're going to see is actually much harder than both of those. But the fastest time to complete this one was 57 minutes and 10 seconds. And assuming that probably the teams are pretty reasonably divided, taking that much longer from the other puzzle just shows you that this is really a more difficult puzzle. It doesn't matter, but it's always nice to have a puzzle that you kind of feel motivated and think that's going to be easy to complete as well. And now let's wrap up the Canadian with the team final. And definitely full of color here. This one is called Puzzle Passion, and it's by Patrick Boyer. I haven't done this puzzle yet, but it is on my to-do list. You can see this one is much more difficult than the other puzzles that we've seen so far. There are some puzzle pieces here in different places, and even though I do like Botticelli quite a lot, I am not absolutely sure what I'm thinking about this puzzle, if I like it or not. I am going to do it. I think it's probably going to be very difficult, but I wonder what you're thinking about it. Do you like it, and would you want to get it in a competition? Let me know. The fastest time to the winning team to do it was 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 54 seconds. Again, showing you this is much harder than the other two puzzles that we've seen earlier. So in the end, again, they competed against each other and all teams took more time to complete this. And now we're going to fly across the Atlantic and head to the UK for their national competition. It was quite a small national competition, so it's going to take us exactly 2 puzzles to cover them. We're going to start with the individual competition. It's a 500 piece called Time for Tea by Georgia Breeze, and this is a 500 piece, and it's a lot of teapots, a lot of teacups. It's quite bright. It's definitely British to the core. And there are many little different teacups with a lot of different patterns here. I definitely enjoyed this one, even though I don't consider the puzzle a very beautiful puzzle, but just to put together as a puzzle, of course, it's very satisfying. And you can use all the different patterns and colors to figure out where to put it during the competition. If you're good at looking at the box, it's of course very helpful in those cases. The fastest time to complete it was 41 minutes and 55 seconds, and that is the individual competition. And finally, let's finish with the UK Pairs competition, featuring one of the quirkiest puzzles that have been introduced lately. This one is called Crazy Street Number 1, The Harbor. It's by Stuart Matthews, and the fastest time to complete that one was 30 minutes and 30 seconds. This puzzle is quirky, but it's charming. It has rainbows, it has donuts everywhere. Of course, I like yellow, so I like the yellow windows and the yellow signs here. And there is the red, I think it's a boat. I'm not absolutely sure what it is. You have a lot of stuff to work here, and you can always use the sky if you've done the first colors and then basically can continue that. By the way, as I said, the fastest time was 30 minutes and 30 seconds. The second place was 34 minutes and 48 seconds. This is quite a difference, actually, like when you have a competition, not to have more tight times between people. But it's the first competition, I think, in the UK. So definitely it's probably going to grow over time. So that's a wrap on the Canadian and UK Nationals of 2025. I hope you enjoyed the rundown. Tell me in the comments which puzzle you like the most. and whether you prefer doing a team, a pair, or individual. Personally, the clock and individual stress me out, so I would not be ever caught doing an individual anytime soon, I believe. But maybe you love the stress. I would love to actually hear that and see what your thoughts about the competitions. I do love coming to the competitions. It's a great event. There is lots of great people, and doing pairs and teams is something that I actually quite enjoy. If you like my episodes, then please like and subscribe and share with fellow puzzlers. I'm Liza, and these were the competition puzzles. I would see you hopefully in the next episode of Puzzled by Liza. Bye-bye!